Your to-be-read list is not long enough, said no one ever. But today, we're here to make it even longer.
Most book recommendations come from readers who have enjoyed a book, but we're coming from a different angle. We're coming from somebody who has the unique experience of having worked with these authors on every draft, every rewrite, until the books are absolutely stunning. So we can give you a recommendation in a way that nobody else can.
Full disclosure, as their publisher, we do take 10% of royalties on these books, but we're not going to get rich recommending them to you. We're here because we genuinely believe these books are worth reading and worth your time as readers.
Absolutely.
And these books deserve a much bigger readership than they have.
Yeah.
We've got
We actually
thrillers,
Thrillers!
cozy mysteries,
Cozy mystery!
YA fantasy,
Young adult fantasy.
psychological fiction,
Ta-da!
historical biography,
Ooh.
quick, metaphysical fiction.
Ooh. Yes!
6 genres, 6 authors, all amazing.
And by the end of this video, you will know exactly which of these authors need to be on your to-be-read pile.
Hi, I'm Rose. I'm the book designer at Alkira Publishing.
And I'm Talia, the managing editor at Alkira Publishing. At Alkira Publishing, we help authors to create quality books of which they can be proud.
These 6 authors we're talking about today have all published multiple books with us, so this is our honest insider take. We know their books better than anyone.
First up is author Gary Krieg, who is our most prolific author. Wow. And he has 2 series. These ones here are the Professor Callan Morrow series, and this is the Richard Fountain series. And these are cozy mysteries. So Professor Callan Morrow is a former fraud examiner, which is a very distinctive investigator, different to your typical amateur sleuth.
So what makes Gary's books so special?
Well, I think the characters, the main character here in Richard Fountain, he is an ex-reverend, and these books are set in New Orleans, which is an interesting place, and he describes the setting is so realistic that you really feel that you're there. And they have this sort of quirky kind of, I don't know, they're just really interesting because it's an unusual kind of character. They're different to a lot of cozy mysteries in that they're not sort of based just around like a small town thing. Their themes are more expansive than that. Yeah. And of course he just writes really well. And there's insight in the books as well, which I really like. Insight with a light touch.
And this most recent book from Gary is perfect for people who like an academic or campus-based mystery.
Yes, with a sort of metaphysical touch.
Do readers have to read these in order of the series, or can they sort of jump in wherever?
They don't have to read them in order,
Yeah, right.
no. But Gary's good for binge reading. 5 books.
Yeah,
so it's like you pick up one and you like it, read the lot.
Yep.
Yeah. And I love his books. I really do.
Yeah. But if cozy mysteries aren't your thing, stay with us because the next author takes things in a completely different direction. So, MJ Reiko writes young adult contemporary fantasy. There is 4 books currently, and book 5 is coming out later this year. It's called A Queen's Cradle. And this isn't just portal fantasy. It deals with trauma and relationships through a fantasy lens.
And it's more grounded than a lot of young adult fantasy as well. It's the group of friends in it, it's very real, very Aussie.
So it's a set in Australia and fantasy, which is unique,
and
actually.
And there's a South African crew as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's different in that way because it's not set in the same sort of, it's America or the UK or Europe as the normal settings.
Do you have to be a young adult to read these though?
Oh no. Yeah. No. They're great fun, and the sort of psychological aspect of what the kids go through is very, very real and very well done. Yeah.
And fun fact, the covers of these, the author's son actually drew the main silhouette image on each of these covers, and then I designed them into a cover. So there's a little bit of personal touch on there as well from the author and their family. So, with 5 books in a series, well, 4 published, 1 coming out later this year, this should keep you busy reading for a little while.
Yeah, good binge reading, and you definitely do need to start with book one.
This is
on this one, because the characters develop and the relationships develop and all of that.
Book 1, The Ancient Gateway.
Yeah,
and to our website for purchase links.
Yeah, and just as a quick rundown, it's about a group of Australian teens who fall through a portal into an ancient world. And this ancient world, it's a little bit like Hunger Games in that they have these games for entertainment.
If you like thrillers, then check out Richard Zappa's books. These books are the Jo Crowder crime thriller series. She's a strong female protagonist grounded in a culture of violence and corruption. These books are gritty but deeply human. And Richard writes very well.
He does. So Richard is also a retired trial lawyer, so he knows his stuff, and it has this very realistic aspect to it when it comes to the cops and the FBI and all of that.
The process.
The process, all of that sort of stuff. And I think The Lion Hunt, this is a really clever book. You can read these in any order. They're all about the same person. This is absolutely brilliant the way he's done this. Very unusual for a thriller, and it works. Took a little bit of work to get it shaped so that it's teases out, and you don't know exactly sort of what's going on with Jo. Has she turned to the dark side or not until the very end? And
probably you want to have read one of these before you read.
I think so.
That you have that context.
Yeah. I mean, I would read them in order because I do that. If I find someone in a book and I think, oh, that sounds interesting, I will start
with this one, with
number 1. But they're all really interesting conceptually. They're not just your ordinary, straight, predictable thriller. They are unpredictable and thematically interesting.
Yeah, Richard writes dark material without exploiting it. There's always a very strong human story underneath the crime.
Absolutely. Yeah. So highly recommended. And I hope
another great binge read.
Yeah, absolutely. And
start at this one, go all the way through.
Yep. I hope I'll be getting another one from Richard soon because, again, I just really enjoy his books.
Ed Lehner, I'm not actually sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, so sorry, Ed, if you're watching this. But Ed writes contemporary psychological fiction.
Yeah, these stories are about Jennifer Morse, and she's a lady that was abused as a teenager. And so this is really the story of her healing. It's a tricky subject matter, and Ed and I worked a lot on these books to get every word, every scene really very clearly dealing with the issues and in a way that's very positive and healing for readers. So it helps if you know someone in your life who's had this kind of experience. It will really help you to understand, and also help you, it will give you sort of ways so that you'll know how to support that person in their healing. And they have this lovely warm quality to them. So Jennifer finds herself in a community of very supportive people, and her journey that she goes through is very realistic and beautifully
hopeful. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A message of healing.
Yeah, and that is, why the covers of these went with such, sort of a sunrise, like a renewing, restarting sort of visual motif to both of these books.
Yeah.
Ed is also a retired design professor, and that sort of visual compositional background means that the settings are really vividly described. It's like a very visual in the descriptions, isn't it?
Yeah, like the beginning of San Juan Sunrise is very evocative.
Picturesque writing.
Yeah.
Right, it's your turn to say the last name of this author.
Okay.
Diane.
Diane Helen Jarvis. I'm sorry, Diane. I probably mangled your last name. But she's a great writer. This is the first book she published with us. I love the cover, by the way, Rose. I think it's such a stunning cover. This is a rare book for me to have got as an editor, because when I read it through, it was like, hey, This only needs a proofread. It's like it was so
She's
good.
talented.
Yeah, very, very talented. It's extremely rare that I get a book that I can't say, well, we need to do this. She writes about the untold stories of American history. This is historical fiction. This one is actually a biography of this wonderful person, Lulu Bell Parr, and it's the only biography of hers that's ever been written. But she writes in a way that it comes alive. Okay, so it's not, dry or anything. It's just, it makes you really feel like you're there and you're with these people. Yeah, and Ivy is coming back. So if you've read this and you've enjoyed this book, and honestly, I don't know how you could read it and not enjoy it, but Ivy in America, this is a sequel coming out later this year.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So read this one now, and you'll be ready for the sequel.
And what is this one about?
Oh, this is one of the little known aspects of American history, in that a lot of the Irish settlers didn't come of their own volition. They were kidnapped, yes, from Ireland and taken across in ships, and so they were paid for by usually like a plantation owner or something, and they became workers on the plantation. So they were indentured. So it was like, oh well, I've paid for your trip here, so now you have to work it off. And it didn't matter whether they actually wanted to be there or not, right? And so Ivy and her brother were kidnapped.
And, she doesn't just tell you what happened, she puts you inside the emotional reality of these characters in, a way that is a really meaningful story.
Yeah, definitely. You get very invested in the story. So Ivy is a fictional character, but the situation that's being described is a real aspect of American history, something I didn't know, but there you go.
I didn't know either.
Yeah.
Before we did this book.
Yeah.
Anyway, check them out. All right,
Just
time to get weird. Metaphysical and historical fiction from M. Laszlo.
Yeah.
I love working on the covers for these books.
They are beautiful covers.
Just reading the blurbs for these always gives me the most vivid imagery. We've got a man whose head is fire on this one. This is the first book, and I was like, wow, let's go. And then, we've just gone for surreal imagery on top of that.
These are very surreal
They're
books.
surreal books. They're really unique.
Yeah, they are definitely literary fiction. The author is got a lot of qualifications. He's got a BA in English literature, I think, something like that. And he's lived in these areas that he writes about. So, as you can see, there's a pyramid here. The thing about these books is, if you read them and you like them, you just want to keep reading his style. It's a unique style. It skirts the line between fantasy and reality, because the characters, there's always this inner sort of like mind twist, So for instance, in these two, they're sort of schizophrenic, and so it's like you're being told this story through this distorted lens of this person, and you don't know what's real and what's not real. So in that respect, it's
a bit magical realist in that.
It's magical realist in that, and his language is absolutely beautiful. He has a bit of a stream of consciousness style, so you sort of wander through this internal land. It's external land, but it's definitely an internal land as well. So it's very definitely a very specific taste.
But as an author, he sort of takes you into a place where the characters' inner worlds intersect with their outer worlds in a way that makes you wonder what's real and what's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
And perfect for readers who want your fiction to genuinely challenge you and take you on journeys into inner realms.
Yeah. And he has another book coming out. And Rubazal is about a winged captive who unleashes a ghostly rain that drowns a city in illusion. And of course, there's only one person who can resist it and stop him. Will she? You have to read the book to find out.
If you like crime thrillers, read Richard Zappa. If you like literary and psychological books, check out Ed Lena. If you like history and biography, Diane Helentajaris.
Yeah.
Sorry, Diane.
And philosophical fiction, M. Laszlo.
And you can find the links to all these books in the description. Visit our website. You can buy them on Amazon. All of that.
And I just want to mention that these are only some of the authors that have published many books with us. We also have Pete Trewin, who publishes mysteries set in England. Our Joseph A. White Jr., who has written a fascinating mystery story
about lucid dreaming.
Yeah, metaphysical. It's a very stunning read, and three books in this series, well worth reading. Remy DeWitt, who writes science fiction, and this is
space opera.
Space opera, yes. Very funny.
Good fun.
One. David Kerr, who writes real stories. So this one's fictionalised. It's about the Israeli-Palestine historical situation and based on stories of real people. Really good read, particularly in today's environment.
Yes, very relevant.
Yeah, so his books are related to real stuff. Kenda Crew, this is a fascinating series, the Almost Human series, a near future science fiction mystery thriller to do with biologically altered chimpanzees. And then we have Don Thompson, and this is a brilliant book, underread, definitely underread. He writes contemporary fiction on very relatable and relevant subject matters. So this one is on homelessness. This one is when you've got someone in your family who has extreme views that are different to the families. The question, how do you handle that? And this is how AI can lead you down a rabbit hole into crazy delusion.
So let us know in the comments, did any of these books pique your interest? Which of these, if any, are you adding to your to-be-read list? If you've read them, let us know in the comments what you thought and recommend to other readers.
Yeah, and remember, we are a selective publisher, so we choose only the best books. So any of Alkera Publishing's books, you can be sure that they have been properly put together, properly edited, the full bit. They're good books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to write your own good book, you can work with us too. She's also written a good book.
I've written lots of good books. This is my most recent one. The thing about this one is it's helpful for all of those people who would like to write their own book and have it a really good book, because this is my wisdom of 15 plus years as an editor
and author.
Yes. And person who has studied this stuff. So there's a lot of helpful tips in here if you are on your writing journey. That's it.
And if you are on your writing journey, check out the other videos in our channel. We post lots of helpful tips and educational videos. Subscribe to the channel, click the links, like the buttons, click the subscribes. I'm running out of words. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.